think we've come to a point where we're grumpier than we used to be, where we don't seem to respect differences of opinion to the degree that we once did, where we continue to categorize people or self-categorize in ways that don't allow us to realize the nation's motto of e pluribus unum. I think there's a lot more focus on the pluribus than the unum these days, and I hope that we can find ways to reverse that trend. I think social media exacerbate it. There have always been rough edges on people and letters to the editor or public comments, but I think it's worse now because it's so easy to anonymously post a tweet or send an email or blast a message out there through some medium or other. It's more confrontational and less cordial than it used to be. So despite all the tremendous advantages we have here and the positive aspects of living in what I still think is the best place on the planet, I'm not sure that we have developed the sense of community that our founders had hoped to see. It means getting an opportunity to personally interact with someone else, to listen to that person, to try to understand where he or she is coming from, and to understand a perspective that may be different from my own. It means not surrendering my values or principles, but trying to work with someone else to achieve a goal. And that may mean compromise, which, at least in our national capital, has become a dirty word of late. But as former Senator Olympia Snowe said in her memoir, we have to get back to a time when compromise is not only possible, but valued, because that's how the institution of government works. Well, I think the healthcare reform of 2006 is a matter of some pride. It was a time when we hadn't yet seen the Affordable Care Act debate that came 4 years later in Washington. But I recognize that the cost of care, the access that some Vermonters lacked, and the quality in some cases were not as robust as we needed to have. So I worked together with legislators across the aisle. One of my best partners was Peter Welch, who's now a member of Congress, and he was head of the state Senate at the time. And it was obvious that he was goal-oriented. He wanted to accomplish something. We didn't have the same view going into the discussion, and I vetoed the first bill that came to my desk. But we got over that, worked together, and the following year came up with a plan of which we're still proud today. I've often thought, not that I'm making a recommendation, that one disadvantage of our system as contrasted with a parliamentary model is that we know in perpetuity when elections are going to be held. So we just got through a presidential election. There's already speculation about who's going to run in 2024. Good heavens, let the people who've been elected do their jobs in the meantime, and there'll be plenty of opportunity for that later on. And I remember in 2003, on the day before my inauguration, my predecessor gave his farewell message, and he urged the legislature, which was, as you noted, mostly of the other party, to work with me. He said, look, people have made a choice, and you all have a responsibility to give the new guy a fair shot and to work with him in a cooperative way. And I really appreciated that and told him so. I'm really worried about resegregating ourselves. I see it at Middlebury College and on other campuses where there's even talk of a Black dormitory. Well, wait a minute. The whole point is to be one country, one society, and not to divide into tribes or racial groups again. So I think we have to be careful about how we assess our past and and find the path forward. We don't have much ideological integration either, and that concerns me a great deal. We tend to want to live in places with people who think as we do. And so red states are getting redder, blue states are getting bluer. And I believe that contributes to the polarization that we're experiencing, because we just don't want to interact with folks who have a different point of view. We hear stories about Thanksgiving dinner now being a place of great turmoil in families because they have different ideological viewpoints. I think that's a real problem. And we have to find a way to take a deep breath and listen to one another and recognize that we may not always agree on something, but we have to respect those differences and the diversity of opinion, of background, and of experience that is this country. Kind of warming to the idea of term limits, which I traditionally haven't, but how much worse could it be? And when the goal, especially of those in Washington, is to simply stay there and be reelected time after time and build up pension credits and have a lot of publicity and hand out lots of money that future generations are going to have to pay back. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think in the end, this may sound naive, but Americans get what they deserve in their government. The answer will have to be a more engaged citizenry, people who see through all the fluff and simplicity of campaign slogans, and people who understand issues more will need to come forward and make decisions based on substance. It's always amazed me that in the recent past, the job approval of the United States Congress has rarely, if ever, exceeded 15 or 20%, but almost all of them are reelected. And they come home to their districts and their states and they say, well, it's a mess down there, but I'm not the problem. Oh, you're lucky to have me because I'm the only one who's standing up for truth and justice and virtue, and it's all those other people who are making a mess. Well, at some point, the American people have to realize that the sum of the parts is the problem and involves everybody, and start demanding more accountability. I have a CEO friend who has an interesting saying. He says, work can be done anywhere. Innovation occurs when people are together.